Working. It's working. Taking its sweet time. What is going on? Welcome to week 3 of the Talk and Chop podcast. We are wrapping up a 5-1 week in Texas. Well, half of it was in Texas, half of it was here. A little bit of a disappointing game here on. Oh, I can hear myself. Let's mute that. But 5-1 week. We swept the Astros, won the series against the defending world champs, the Rangers. Could have definitely gone for the sweep there. But hey, I have a fun little bit that I found already. A little bit of a surprise for you guys for the next episode of Dumb Shit Braves Fans Say. Trade Olson or Riley, can't have both stinking up the entire lineup.
Jeez, yeah, tough crowd.
Tough crowd, huh? Tough crowd. We have the best record in baseball, and oh darn, we lost a game. Shucks. We'll definitely be talking about that in this week's episode. But overall, like this week was awesome. We went 5-1 against the Houston Astros, who, granted are struggling a little bit. But then the Rangers came to our house and we showed them who's boss. We took the series. Definitely could have won game 3, but so let's talk about it. You guys got any thing you want to talk about right off the top?
No, nothing really. I mean, I predicted we go 3-3 this week. We did 5-1. So like, I don't know if you're having complaints about Olson, Riley, particularly if you're out there complaining about Darius Vines and his performance tonight, then I don't know. Find a new hobby. Spoiled fans out there, I suppose. But anyhow, this team's really good. I don't know. That's my analysis.
Braves are good at baseball.
Yeah, Braves are good.
Yeah, my best part that I've seen out of Vines this week is that whenever he does get in trouble, so he got into trouble first inning, game 1 against Houston, and then tonight, I guess that was about the 5th inning. Yeah, 5th inning. No, that was the 4th inning because then he settled down and came back into the 5th. Whenever he gets into trouble, he comes back. He looks good. It doesn't seem to phase him. So,
yeah. I think the biggest thing with Vines too is like we can't expect him to be Spencer Strider. You know what I mean? He's a dude who's still learning how to pitch in the big leagues, and I mean, comparatively speaking, I think he's doing great.
no, and I think that's the idea we need to reiterate over and over again is you're not going to expect any of these guys trying to fill that 5 hole to be Spencer Strider or anybody at all in the major leagues to be able to fill Spencer Strider's hole. It's not going to happen. Yeah. I think we're getting at the production that we would expect, if not more production out of Vines this week than we would have hoped for, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you guys think he gets a third start?
I do. I mean, I say that, I guess it depends on what's going on in AAA, right? Like if Bryce is ready to come and let him set up, I haven't really been following what he's been doing lately. So I don't know. I don't see a reason. No, nothing out of Vines' performances, I would say, would warrant sending him back down unless somebody else is ready. And the powers that be, the people who know more than I do that are in charge of that, would say, okay, it's time to bring in who we think's ready. So,
yeah, totally. If he doesn't get a third start, I don't think it would be indicative of, the Braves thinking he's kind of like, run his course, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if they give him 2 starts, then send him back, and then call up Elder for a couple starts, send them back. Like I truly think you're going to see a revolving door there, and it'll be, I guess, a little bit of playing the hot hand. But I also think they're going to try to get people chances, limit people's innings, so to speak. And I guess I'm not an expert. Maybe, pitching the big leagues versus pitching in AAA, like an inning's an inning, an inning is an inning. But I don't know. I just wouldn't be surprised if we see Elder up next or someone else. And that's not to say I don't think Vines has pitched well. I think he's been above and beyond what I was expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And Will was kind of talking about this before we pushed record here, but it's a pretty cool story about the embroidery on Darius Vines' glove for his dad, right?
Yeah, because he died in October 2022 or September 2022. So, basically, game 1, when he had that rough first inning, I believe in between innings, the third base umpire said to him, "Hey, man, don't forget he's always watching," in reference to Vines' dad. And then that's when you saw him settle down and lock back in and give us a great start on that game 1. So that's a pretty cool thing. And what they said on the radio when I was listening to him pregame while I was walking the dog was that's sort of an argument for why you shouldn't have robo umps, because you're never going to get a robo ump to be able to say that to you in between innings, right? So it goes to show you, we have all this time. You see all those clips online where people are hating on Angel or hating on calls and stuff, but those umpires still, they're invested in the game. They're invested in these players. So it's nice to have them. They're part of the game too.
Yeah. And we can definitely talk about the, well, yes, I agree with everything that you said, but regarding the robo umps thing, I don't think the intention is never to like replace umpires. I think it's just to have like the balls and strikes review system like they have in the minors. And we can totally talk about that too. I think it'd be really interesting. Did you see that clip of Paul Skeens when he threw a couple pitches and he's like, no, check that. And he was right. And yeah, I think I just hate when like I like the nuance of the umpire and like having a wide or a small zone or whatever, but when it comes down to games being decided on it, I think is when it kind of need to step in. But personally, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But Reynaldo Lopez has been quite good. I was actually looking up some pitching stats when we were putting together these notes, and I don't know why he's not in the top ERA leaders. Maybe because of like innings requirements or something like that. I think he's only pitched 3 games, right?
He's thrown 18 innings.
So the other guys who are on top of
yeah.
the ERA leaderboards have thrown like 26-ish innings, 22 to 26. So maybe that's why. But I think he has like a 0.5 ERA.
Yeah, how'd that happen though? Like, why is he not qualified?
Probably just the innings amount, I guess. He's only gotten 3 starts when most of the other pitchers have gotten like 4
but
or 5
he hasn't
starts.
missed a start. He hasn't missed a start.
Yeah,
It's because he's at the back of the rotation, so his next start's coming.
I think also part of them kind of, obviously he hasn't been a starter since 2018 or 2019, so they're trying to like not necessarily limit his innings, but they're giving him more rest in between starts. I heard that on the 755 podcast with DOB.
They haven't done it yet though, right? Like he hasn't missed a 5th rotation yet.
He's only pitched once a week so far. He hasn't pitched every 5 days. It's been like every 6 or 7 days.
I didn't notice that. I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah.
too.
Because when Vines came up, that was his like scheduled. That was Reynaldo's scheduled start, but they pitched Vines instead, I think.
So we must have used that day that we missed against the Mets and just pushed everybody back 1, right?
Yeah, I think so. Something along those lines. But I know he's only pitched once a week, like every 6 or 7 days, rather than every 5 days.
Beside the point, Raylo has looked nasty, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And for him being our number 4, like, and even especially when Max hasn't been looking great, Chris Sale looks disgusting. He made Corey Seager look like a little leaguer. He's never seen a big league pitcher before. That was funny.
I mean, on that clip that's been circulating around on YouTube and like MLB.com and stuff, Travis d'Arnaud had to dive outside of the right-handed batter's box to catch the ball, and he still swung at it.
Yep.
That's what was impressive to that.
To be fair, Seager's kind of getting off to a slow start. He's going to get locked in at some point, but still.
Yeah, glad we got him out of the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went over in the series. He might have gotten a hit or 2 in the first game, but he was over tonight, just like our buddy Matt Olson. We're going to talk about that too.
Oh God.
It's game 3 in Houston. Was an afternoon start. Max was not maximum. I think we can all see that. He wasn't bad. He gave up 3 runs?
He did, yeah, 3.
I think it was really all that happened. Well, there was like the leadoff homer in the first inning from Jordan, and then he gave up 2 runs in like the 4th inning, I think. But he still went 5 innings, I believe. Still solid. This offense is gonna bail most pitchers out of mostly anything. There's gonna be games like tonight where you just couldn't get the big hit. Like we were 1 big hit away from winning that game. But Texas, man, we all went to the game on Friday. That was a very fun game. Travis d'Arnaud's 3-run home run game. That was awesome. Coming up big. I mean, remember me and Ty sitting in the stands when he came up to at bat the 3rd time with the bases loaded. Like, all right, just like a base knock, a sac fly, like anything, and he fucking knocks it out, dude. And we went nuts. That was so cool.
Yeah, and that was shortly after. I mean, we'd had, Sale was pitching well, and then he let him. I think we were up 3-1 because they let off. We weren't even in the stadium when Simeon let off the game with a home.
I was, but y'all hadn't gotten there yet. Yeah,
Will and I weren't in there yet.
I was coming up the escalator when it happened.
Yeah. So we'd given up the lead, right off the bat, and then come back, and I think we were up 3-1 at some point, and Sale kind of had I would hesitate to even call it a bad inning, but he gave up a couple runs. There was like a bloop single through the right side, but anyhow, they came back and tied it in the middle of the game. I think the timing of the grand slam was just so indicative of this, this Braves lineup and this Braves team. I mean, this team's got fight in them. It just seems like, when they get down, they're always punching back. They're never out of the games. We've seen it in Miami. We saw it, didn't come at the end of the game and against Texas, but I don't know. I think the timing of that made it a particularly exciting and emotional.
Yeah, especially when it's kind of getting late game. So you're right. I just pulled up the box score. We were up 3-1 going into the sixth. They put up 2 in the sixth, so it was a tie game, 3-3. And then in the bottom of the inning was when Darno hit the grand slam. Yep.
Yeah.
Just
so kind of getting late game. It's tied,
Yeah. They scored those 2 on. It was weird in between. It was like Riley thought that he needed to follow the runner going to third, thinking that RC was going to get it. Well, RC didn't cover Riley's hole, and then so the ball got way in between them, and then they ended up pulling 2 through it was a double. That it looked like it was a weird miscommunication in the infield that happened there in the 5th.
Yeah, I remember the double now too. It was a little, at least from where I was sitting, it looked like maybe a bad angle out of Harris or something. It just looked like a ball that I fully expected to get cut off, and the next thing you know, it's bouncing around in the wall. And how the hell did that happen? Obviously, don't have the best angle. Who knows what what actually happened? It just looked like one of those that looked like a single from the seats, and the next thing you know, it's a double and bases are cleared. So,
but going back to what Ty said earlier about somebody coming up, I mean, and it's just indicative in general about somebody's always going to just take stranglehold of the game. What I love about what I've seen lately about the Braves, or actually so far with the Braves, is that it's not this one guy that we're watching to happen. Like, okay, this guy's going to save us. It's sometimes the least likely character, right? Like going into that game, Travis d'Arnaud had no home runs and had a negative .11 WAR, and then don't you know he has a monster game? Honestly, probably a career game. I know he's done it. He's had a 3 home run night once before in his career, but I would argue to say this one was probably bigger than that one. And he puts the team on his back and just takes us there. So it's never who you expect it to be. It doesn't have to be this one guy that we're relying on, which kind of goes into what we're probably going to talk about with Olsen and Riley, who we have expectations of. Sometimes it's the guys that we have least expectations of, and they're just going to, do it for us and chop us all the way to the victory.
Yeah, we've said it 1,000 times. We'll probably say it 1,000 more times throughout the season, but this team is just so deep, man. Like it's insane. Like if it's not one guy, it's another guy. And like you said, like it's not like we have to rely on one guy. Like kind of the Astros are a good example. They kind of rely on Altuve and Jordan and Kyle Tucker. And when they were not really doing a whole lot that series, like they kind of lost. You know what I mean? Yep. So not that they make up that entire team. They've got a lot of talent out there too, but something to be noted for sure. Like even tonight, like Luis Guillorme came up with a couple really big defensive plays, things like that. Like that's our bench guy. That's our backup. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of bench guys in depth, I mean, I thought that I know it didn't work out. Nothing exciting happened in the 9th inning, right? But if you look at what happened in the 9th inning, I mean, we had Kelnick had an at bat. But then we just, swapped out the, back-to-back pinch hitters, right? And you brought in Travis d'Arnaud, who is, hit 4 home runs in 48 hours. And then you go to Adam Duvall, and I don't know. I mean, I question whether a lot of teams, have that kind of depth coming off the bench. Maybe, as I've said prior, I don't watch a lot of other teams if they're not playing the Braves, but I don't know. It just seems like the not just the day-to-day lineup depth, but the bench depth is very real as well.
I feel like most pinch hitters that come off the bench for most teams is like a Forrest Wall type guy.
Yeah.
Rather than we have 2 frontline left fielders in Kelnick and Duvall.
Guys that are plugged in. Like they're not just coming off the bench. They haven't played in like 50 games. Like they've been in at least once that week, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then if two of those guys get it, if one of those two guys gets a hit, boom, you're back to Ronald Acuna, maybe saves the day. So
Exactly. Yeah. Like, obviously it's not going to work out every single time, but yeah, one of those guys gets on base, you bring up the top of the order again, and then you got to go through that gauntlet again. You know what I mean?
and
I
I think
love the 1-2 punt.
when we refer to depth, what we're talking about right now is, just our lineup, just 1 to 9. But we've kind of been hinting at it. But what I really appreciated watching, and this could go into a whole different argument, but it's really the depth of our whole team, right? Okay, you lose Strider. All right, let's fill in the depth with all the pitching depth we've got in AAA. And so far, barring one bad start from Winans, that's worked out for us with Darius Vines. Lose Ozzy, lose Murphy, boom, you plug in Trompy, you plug in Travis d'Arnaud, you plug in Gourmet. I think all those guys, we knew it was going to happen at catcher. I mean, we have full trust in that. I, for one, was suspect about what Gourmet could offer to us, but man, he's totally exceeded my expectations about.
Man, he was always a Braves killer with the Mets.
On both sides of the ball, too. Like, I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of great plays from him in the field. He's put the barrel on the ball a lot. He's come up with a lot of good timely RBIs. I have so what that makes me realize too is that there's always the argument, well, we need to go after number one, like these star guys, these free agent signings and everything. Well, look at what AA's really done in his formulas. Okay, we need depth no matter what, and you're seeing the fruits of that.
Yeah, and I know what all the haters are going to say, like, oh, well, let's see if they do it in October. Our pitching has killed us in October. Dude, last year against the Phillies, we scored 8 runs in 4 games.
Yeah.
Well,
and 5 of those runs were in 1 game. It's not the pitching problem.
The series, I mean, the World Series we won, we started Dylan Lee and Tucker Davidson. I mean, Don't talk to me about we need those, one or a number 1 or a 2 guy to make it happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, obviously you want good pitching. Like I would have loved to have gotten Zach Wheeler a couple years ago when he was a free agent. And it's going to suck to face him again with the Phillies for the foreseeable future. But, obviously we didn't plan to lose Spencer Strider for the whole year. Like, if that didn't happen, then we do have a pretty elite rotation. And we kind of broke down some numbers on the starting rotation. I pulled some numbers a few minutes ago before we started. We can kind of go ahead and go into that if y'all want to. Just the starting pitching. So MLB ranks, ERA we're 7th, FIP we're 11th, XFIP we're 14th, WAR we're 18th, Ks per 9 15th, and home runs per 9 9th. So not elite by any means, but slightly above average. They're good. Like they're not bad. They're not just like throwing BP out there. You know what I mean? That it's a solid pitching rotation, even with the loss of Strider. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. And, sometimes it's hard to kind of rely on the offense every night, but like recurring theme, like somebody's going to pull through the majority of the time. Like, oh, darn, we lost this game 3 to the Rangers, yet we still have the best record in baseball. Darn.
And like, Fried hasn't been particularly good this year.
He hasn't.
What his numbers are, but a friendly reminder that Strider wasn't good either when he did pitch. I mean, we're talking about Raylo pitching having only 3 starts. I mean, you still have these like Strider, skunk games that are in there and still hold like a sizable amount of kind of weight, so to speak, for these overall figures right now because we're so early in the season. But you mentioned Zach Wheeler, Kevin. Like you take him off the Phillies and look what's that rotation. You take you go around any team that has one of these star pitchers, one of the like true aces, and you take him off their team. Take Garrett Cole off the Yankees. I mean, I guess they're playing without him right now, but
I think they're actually pitching really well.
They are, but like
I get your point.
Same situation in October, right? Like the point is that like you can't replace these types of players. They and you can't plan for it, and you can't really be done. So I don't know.
I was gonna say if you take a number 1 off of anybody's rotation out of any of the 30 teams, then what it look like, right? I mean, that's your point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Sale, though, whew, I hope he can stay healthy, man, because he's looking pretty disgusting. to start so far. He's given up a few runs. He's got a ERA in like the mid fours, but that part of that is inflated too. Obviously, small sample size, but I immediately go back to that one inning in Miami where he got squeezed on that at bat to Berger, and then ended up giving up like 2 or 3 runs after that when that should have been the third out and he should have been out of the inning. You know what I mean? Like small things like that really add up. This early in the season with such small sample sizes, and even with the bullpen too, like some of the bullpen ERAs are a little bit higher. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think the Braves have a pitching problem. Do you guys?
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah,
Not yet.
So we talked about starting pitching. Let's talk about the bullpen. So heading into Sunday, they ranked 10th in ERA, 15th in FIP, 7th in XFIP, and 17th in WAR. So just like the starting pitching, a little bit above average, but not dominant as we expected. But I do think that is still a product of small sample sizes. Jimenez has been disgusting. He has like a 1 ERA.
Yeah,
He's looked so good. Like especially last night against the Rangers, he just made them look silly.
I don't have the numbers on it, but I just gut check. I feel like Matzik is starting to return to form of what we expect out of him. Just seeing him out there. The more outings I see of him, the more comfortable I get with him.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take him a little while to get back into a groove. He gave up the 2-run homer tonight to Garcia, right? Garcia hit it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, it's going to happen. There's no pitcher out there who's going to have a 0.00 ERA. They're going to
Garcia's got giant arms. What do you expect him to do, right?
Dude, he barely like just flicked that ball over the fence. It like barely went over the fence too, but it is what it is. It's baseball. It's weird. But yeah, Joe, AJ, and Iggy have all been great. What's Iggy's ERA? I'm curious. I haven't looked it up.
I think
In the threes, really? He's given us that many runs already?
Yeah, he had like a shaky. I mean, it's early season stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but
it was one of the very
Miami
first series. Yeah, it was a very first series. I think we had a really big lead, and he gave up like 3, maybe.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
It was never close. He was doing his, theatrics for his funny business that he'll do sometimes, but it's probably inflated from it was trash runs late in a game that didn't.
He's got a 2.45 ERA.
2.45. Okay. Yeah.
He's perfect on save opportunities though, which is what he's there for. You go in with 3 runs or less and a 3-run lead or less and get 3 outs. And he's done that.
That's always my metric on the closer is I don't care how you get us there, just save the game. If it's scary, fine, whatever. But I don't care how we win. I just like to win.
I would never trash.
On the Iggy point, so my wife has now determined that Iggy is her favorite, if not player, definitely Iggy's walk-up song is her favorite. So for those that haven't been to a game or those that haven't paid attention when they're at a game at Truist, Iggy's walk-up song, which also, let's just make this point. I think closers and relief guys have such a benefit when it comes to their walk-up songs because they get to play their song for 2 minutes, 1 minute and 30 seconds. So they get way more playtime with what they want. But so Iggy's song is it's "Don't You Worry, Everything's Gonna Be All Right." She's like, it's a closer. He's telling you it's all gonna be fine. Like, and she always sings along to it. So I think it's a I don't know if he's done that on purpose. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that that's what he's trying to tell us, which is pretty cool.
You saying it's the Bob Marley song? Everything's gonna be
no.
It's a modern song.
It's been
EDM
remixed like a million times and everything. So
word.
It's one of those.
Just
he kind of has it mashed up with like a Hispanic Caribbean kind of flair to it too. But
gotcha.
Anyway, next time you're there, listen to it and remember what I'm saying. He also has the like red flashing lights. It's all fun. So
yeah, that's super cool. I definitely agree with the walk-up songs for closers because I know Will Smith's a while ago was like Thunderstruck, I think, or was that Mentors? I don't remember. Yeah,
Will Smith had Stranglehold, and he had a good setup. He had like the blue lights with like he had good walk-up music.
Nice.
Or like inning entry music.
Yeah, that's cool.
Kimbrel had the
Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the
right?
Jungle,
Yeah.
like the flames.
With flames.
Yeah.
Which you could feel in Turner Field. Like when they'd shoot those things off, you could feel the fire.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Olsen easily has the worst walk-up song. I'll say that. It's some Morgan Wallen crappy song that's not even the best part of the song, and he is certainly living up to that walk-up song.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to change his walk-up song, right?
I was about to say it's either that or I think he needs to shave the scruff. Did he have the scruff last year? I don't remember. Because I noticed tonight that he's getting a little scruffy. Maybe it's that. I don't know.
His bobblehead's got the scruff.
Does it?
Yeah.
That's funny. One last thing on Iglesias, though. So he's pitched in 8 games. He's only given up 2 runs. And I think those were both in that one game that you talked about. I'm trying to find the game log, but he's only given up 2 runs all year, and I think it was in that one game. So that's
situation.
Probably. I'm trying to look it up here. Where do you give it 2 runs? It was versus the Mets on April 9th. So which day was that? Was that the day game last week? No, that was the one in New York.
No. That was Tuesday.
I would hope that he didn't.
We won that game. We won.
Yeah, that was Tuesday that we won. Yeah, they put up 2 runs on him, but still got the save. Yep, still got the save. So yeah, he's perfect on save opportunities. 6 for 6. But yeah, so let's talk about Olsen for a minute. I pulled some stats again. He is I want to preface this by saying I'm not worried about Olsen over the course of the entire season one bit, but it is notable to say that he is having a rough week. He is 1 for 28 this week. His last hit was in the first game of the Astros series. And since then he's been hitless. He struck out 4 times tonight. In some really big spots too. In the first inning, he had some runners on. Luckily, Ozuna came up behind him, hit the 3-run bomb in the first. But he struck out there. He struck out again in the 8th when we had a couple runners on with less than 2 outs. That was definitely brutal. But 1 for 28 this week. He's had plenty of opportunities. Definitely slumping a little bit. He slammed his helmet after a big strikeout. I don't know if y'all saw that, but again, not really concerned about him over the course of the season. What do you guys think?
I think we're so used to seeing him have such a good hitter's eye and really limit those strikeouts and be able to take pitches that are close and pull out walks that maybe other guys wouldn't have gotten. So I think we're used to seeing that. To his credit, you mentioned this earlier in our chat where, yeah, he did give us he did have this series where he hit that sac fly to deep to score a run, I think on Saturday. So he hasn't disappeared. I think it's just the strikeouts. I think I've watched him looking at strike 3 more than I'm used to is kind of my concern with him.
Yeah. I feel like he's just not seeing the ball that well right now. And when he is swinging, he's whiffing.
I'm seeing him take a lot of first pitch strikes too. Like he's just because normally with him, he'll kind of, at least what I think I've observed over the past 2 or 3 years is just he'll watch it. He'll see what that first strike is. He'll take it. He'll kind of calibrate and like, okay, let's lock in and do it. So I almost feel like he's getting right now when he's struggling, when I watch him take that first pitch strike, it's sort of like, okay, you're already down 1. I need you to catch back up. And I'm not seeing him do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
He's a streaky hitter. He'll get hot with right. I mean, he's one of those guys where he, as much as anyone, is someone that I'm looking that I will be paying a lot of attention to come like September, October, right? Like his numbers will be there at the end of the year. He'll have his ups, he'll have his downs, but like that's the type of guy. Like if he's hot when it matters, he can carry a team, right? And we've seen it. So I don't know. He'll get it figured out. I haven't noticed anything about his swing. He just, to your point, Kevin, looks like the timing's off and maybe not seeing it quite as well. He's a pro though. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. I thought for sure tonight he would kind of snap out of it because his numbers, his matchups against Lorenzen were really good. He was like 3 for 5 with 2 homers or something like that. Had like a 2,600 OPS against him in the past. Granted, super small sample size, only 5 at bats, but still, like, you know what I mean? Just a righty kind of growing in, 95 on our fastballs in there. Like, I don't
I
know.
also think
Lorenzen did look good though.
we're noticing it more with Olsen because it's amplified by the fact that it seems like Riley is almost doing the same thing that he is. So it's like a double gut punch, right? You get frustrated with Riley. We expect the same things out of both of them. And when it happens back to back so often right now, and usually lately it seems like it's happening when we've got guys in a position to put up some runs early or even late, like tonight, then it makes it feel that much worse.
They struck out back to back with runners on twice tonight, just tonight, in the first
I mean,
inning and in the 8th inning.
They did it in, I think it was it might have been the first inning yesterday. It might have been the 3rd inning yesterday, but I know that they struck out back to back same way on Saturday's game as well.
Yeah.
Because I was screaming about it.
Yeah, but we won the series. Oh darn. You know what I mean? Like we could sit here and talk and like nitpick all these small things, but this team going back again, they're just so fucking deep. Like it doesn't matter when 1 or 2 guys are slumping. Ronald's starting to look like himself again too, but somebody like Ozuna, like I feel like whenever Ozuna comes back down to earth a little bit, then that's when Riley and Olsen are gonna start to pick it up again. You know what I mean? Like if it's not one guy, it's another guy.
Well, with you saying that, I think that gives me the answer to the question I'm about to ask you, because I think it's an interesting topic to discuss. I don't even think Snit would do this because he doesn't seem like he likes to fiddle as much as some of the other managers do. But it's just a sexy thing to bring up as a topic. Do you slide those 2 guys, Riley and Olsen, down from 3 and 4 to 4 and 5 and slide Ozuna up to 3?
I don't know. It's tough. Like, I don't really want to mess with whatever Ozuna's doing because whatever he's doing is working. And you know how Snit is. Like, he doesn't really like to mess with the lineup. This lineup, we have the best record in baseball. And even our 3 and 4 hole guys aren't hitting. So, like, I don't think you really mess with it personally. Like, if we're nitpicking, then yeah, maybe. I remember last year. So, like, when Olsen first came over, they had him in the 2 hole to try to like replace Freddie, and then had.
As soon as they moved him out of the 2 to the 4, he exploded last year.
Exactly.
They did that, yeah.
I think the first 4 that first year where Olsen was here, it went Ronald, obviously when he came back from the injury, but Ronald, Olsen, and then Ozzy was in the 3 hole and Riley was in the 4 hole, I believe. And there was an argument to keep Riley in the 4 hole because his stats were way better there than in the 3 hole. But at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters all that much.
I don't either. If anything, I would split Olsen and Riley. I would swap Riley and Ozuna, I think, so that you don't have these back-to-back strikeout. Right.
Well, then it would just be back-to-back on the other end. Because then it would go Ozuna and then Olsen and Riley, and they would still be back-to-back. You know what I mean?
Split Olsen and Riley. I would keep Olsen where he is.
Yeah.
Break up having those 2 guys back-to-back in the lineup. So I'd just swap Ozuna and Riley, I think, is the change I would make if I were like forced.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying is if you swapped Ozuna and Riley, then you have the same problem. So then it'll go Ozuna, Olsen, Riley, and then they're still back-to-back.
He's saying go.
I misspoke. I would swap Olsen and Ozuna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wants to put Olsen in between the 2.
Yeah.
However that's done, he wants to put him in between 2.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing I would say about it, even though I brought it up, that would scare me though if they did it I wonder. I'm sure they've got team psychologists that would know better the mindset of these guys, but like, would it motivate them to slide down and get them to get their shit together, or would it be like kicking a dog while they're down? Right? It's like, honestly, we have trust that they're going to figure it out. So why screw with it?
That's something that Snit does really well too, is like have faith in his guys, put them in tough spots and let them figure it out, because that builds their confidence, especially with like relievers, for example.
I don't think they're gonna mess with the lineup.
I don't think so either.
If we're having this conversation in July, then like, yeah, they'll start tinkering, but they're just gonna roll the ball out there and say, look, we have the best team. Like, this is the lineup. We have the best team. We're gonna just keep playing the same hand over and over and over again, and it'll win 60% of the time. Right. So
speaking of lineup, because we did have kind of a deviation from what we've seen, I think on Saturday where we had was it Friday or Saturday where they put RCA in the 2-hole?
Friday.
Whenever we faced a lefty.
Mm-hmm.
So was it strictly because it was a lefty, or was that just sort of a
Yes.
sort of okay? I was gonna say, part of me felt like it was a rewarding Arcia for how well he's done thus far. Be like, here you go, kid. So me personally, I love seeing when Arcia really does as well as he's doing right now. So for me as an Arcia fanboy, I was like, oh yeah, he's in the 2-hole. What's up, man? So I was curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a combination of the two, but more so because we were facing a lefty.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like the lefty righty matchup thing. But to Kevin's point, I also don't think they do that at all if he's not playing as well as he is. And speaking of playing as well as he is right now, he's like top 5 in the league and wins above replacement. Right? Like,
yeah, no, he is
really
incredible year. Yeah,
he's at like 1.5, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man. AA. Insert AA devil eyes meme here.
Like stupid. So
man. Yeah. I mean, we can go in circles and just talk about how good this team is. And like we're really nitpicking by kind of diving in on Olsen and Riley here, but like they're gonna be fine. They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna go watch some film. Maybe Olsen just needs to go watch the compilation of all of his 54 bombs last year. And maybe that's all it does it. But something that's really interesting too that I've picked up from listening to other baseball podcasts, especially with former players, and like all it takes is for like one person to say one little thing and they kind of like hear it from a different perspective. And Eric O'Flaherty used to talk about this too when he was pitching with Brian McCann. Brian McCann would say something about a certain pitch, like his slider or something. Oh yeah, that looks disgusting. But like if you did this, and like that would just change his pitch for the rest of the season. And then he would start making guys look silly with it. So yeah, I'm not worried about them one bit over the course of the year. And like I said, we're definitely nitpicking when we're just kind of picking on them a little bit.
We're just frustrated because we know what they're capable of. That's really
exactly. And also too, it's just hard seeing them come up in the big spots, which is what they're in that lineup in that spot for. Especially there in the 9th or 8th. But it is what it is. Still have the best record in baseball. This year.
Yeah, and best record in baseball. And imagine if you're the Mets and the Phillies right now. They're on heaters. I think they've got pretty much the same win streak that we had going into this game. And they hadn't made any ground at all. I know the Mets lost tonight, so they're still same. I think they're 2 games back. But Phillies finally got a little ground tonight because they won, or we lost. So that's got to be frustrating for them too.
Did the Phillies win tonight?
Yeah,
I didn't look.
They were playing the Sox this weekend, so they won all 3.
Oh, they swept. Yeah, the Phillies are 14-8 right now. Ooh, the White Sox are 3-18. Yikes! One of those was against us. It's also like 30 degrees, so I don't hold that against them. Let's see. I think that the Dodgers whooped up on the Mets today. Yeah, 10-0.
10-0. But did they lose the series to the Mets? I think
yeah,
they did,
the Mets won the series. They won Friday and Saturday.
I know the Nats walked it off yesterday. Did they? What did they do today?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't pay much attention to the like Nats and Marlins.
Yeah. Oh, I only was kind of watching them because they were playing the Dodgers. The Dodgers are 13-11.
Best team.
Yeah, the Padres. If the Padres had won last night, they would have cut even with the Dodgers. So I mean, the big powerhouse $1 billion spenders are still getting their heels nipped at by the dads.
Yeah. And I'm sure all the Dodgers podcasts are like saying the same thing as we are. Like, we're not worried about them one bit. They'll figure it out. A little bit of a slow start. That's fine. But
Yeah, the conversation we were having about Olsen is really kind of what my thoughts on Freddie thus far have been. So it's probably the same
Yeah,
exact
he had
conversation,
two
like you
doubles
said.
today. I think I saw that on just
I'm
the.
just frustrated with Freddie having being abysmal so far because of my fantasy team, honestly.
That's a good pickup for your fantasy team. He'll figure it out. I'm not worried about him.
Speaking of, I'm checking it because me and Ty are playing this week.
Been neck and neck all week, hadn't it?
Yeah, we've pretty much tied. We still are right now too. We're 5-5-2. So
And the games are all over, right? Like, isn't Sunday Night Baseball the last one?
Oh, I gotta check my lineup for this week.
Yeah.
Tyler Glasnow got rocked by the Mets. I think was the Mets? Maybe the Nationals. I think it's the Nationals actually. He's on my fantasy team and screwed up my ERA for the week.
Yeah.
I basically won all the hitting stats and lost all the pitching stats. That's pretty much how it worked out for me this week. But yeah, the Padres are only one game back of the Dodgers right now. The Brewers are looking pretty good too. They're 14-6. But yeah, we got one game on the Phillies. They're 14-8. We're 14-6 because we've played. It's weird because we've played two fewer games than they have. So looking at strictly the win percent there, but the New York Mets are 2.5 games back. So I think the Mets are going to be a lot better than people give them credit for. They have like the best ERA in the NL right now. Did John
I
know
mean,
that?
seeing them live, I would have told you that. That kind of impressed me when we got to see them when they came to town. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much we we want to talk about that, but I definitely think that I think we'll still probably win the division by a handful of games, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year for sure. Um, cool. Yeah, the Phillies are still being the Phillies, that's for sure. Um, cool. So next week we host the Little Brother Marlins for 3 games. We've got Reynaldo Lopez, Max, and Chris Sale going. Their first two are announced, Ryan Weathers and Trevor Rogers. I believe we did some work against them down in Miami last week. So this should be some good fun Braves games to go to.
Who was the guy who stole our lunch money the Saturday game? Was
it Max Meyer, and they sent him to AAA for that game, by the way, fun fact.
What?
Because
yeah, they
the
DFA'd
Marlins
him.
front office. Yep.
Yep.
They didn't DFA him. He's a young
I thought
prospect.
they did.
No, they just sent him back they optioned him down to the minors. At least as far as I'm concerned. If they DFA'd him, then why is he not on the Braves right now?
That's what I was gonna say because I thought they did. So I was like, hey, yeah, we could use that. Let's bring him up because he looked good.
No, I think this year is his first year pitching in the majors because I remember it's actually funny when Ronald was going through his rehab coming back from the ACL, he was playing the Marlins minor league team and that dude was pitching. Max Meyer, not really sure, but yeah, no, he's one of their top pitching prospects for sure. I highly doubt they would DFA him. Yeah. I
It
don't know
would be
why
a
they would send
Marlins
him
thing
back
to
down.
do, though, right?
This is very true. But I think it's more of a service time manipulation type thing. Why they sent him back down. I'm sure he'll be back up at some point this year.
So we'll
But
dodge
yeah.
him. So that's good.
Yeah.
They were a pesky team, though. I mean, like that we could have easily lost that series, right? I mean, I think the Braves looked good in the Friday game and then kind of looked putrid. Putrid? Is that how you say it? Didn't look so hot through the next 17 innings. So honestly, I think I expect the team to get right. I mean, I know they won 2 or 3, but like I'm looking for the sweep here, right? Like let's just go in there, take care of business. That Ronnie bobblehead on Wednesday. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's get that guy like not going in the sense that he's not playing well, but going in the sense that like MVP caliber again.
Yeah.
He likes the spotlight, so look for some
He sure
fireworks
does.
on Wednesday.
And it's a pretty recurring thing where players on their bobblehead nights just go off.
Yeah.
Well, Ronald's got 3 bobblehead nights this year, so
good. Let's make it 33.
Yeah, let's just do one for every home game for the rest of the year.
Every night's a Ronnie bobblehead night.
Maybe we need some Olsen and Riley bobblehead nights.
Yeah. So Yeah, I'm looking at a sweep. I think the Braves take care of business, win all three of those. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on it, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously a sweep would be ideal, but looking to definitely win the series. There might be a game that gets out of hand there. But I mean, we got our three best pitchers going, so hopefully they can get the job done. And hopefully the offense just continues to do what they do. And that the offense is really like the biggest thing for this team because the pitching is going to do its thing and not put a game out of reach more likely than not. And I said this going into the postseason last year was like, as long as the offense does what they did all year, then we're going to be fine. And that's really the biggest determining factor in any game, really, is if the offense puts up runs. As long as they put up runs, then we're going to win. Seems simple, right?
yeah,
I'm calling sweep with two Matt Olson Oasises right now. That's what
I
I'm
would
saying.
love that. I would love that.
So we'll bring y'all into some of our inside jokes here. Every time Matt Olson hits one into the chop house, we call it Matt Olson's home run oasis. So anytime you hear us reference Oasis, that's what we're talking about. It's Matt Olson going straight to the chop house. So I'm calling for the sweep when I say we get two of those Oasis hits.
I'd
love
love
it.
to see it.
Yeah.
Especially
He's
seeing how
hot.
frustrated he was, right? Like, I think he's gonna take that, go to bed tonight, wake up tomorrow, and boom, it's on. He's too
Yeah.
good to not to.
Yeah, because the series starts tomorrow. We got another off day on Thursday. It's kind of weird. 2 off days, 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, and then we host the Guardians, which will be pretty interesting. They've been pretty hot.
They have.
I haven't really been
I
following them all that much, but I do know that they're up there. That we have like almost the same record.
I haven't been following them at all, but I've seen them at the top of the records every time I go and check the standings. And to be honest with you, I did not have that series circled when I started looking at games I was going to attend on my calendar. But now for sure, I'm pretty hyped about going on Friday and Sunday. So
Yeah, my mom was actually talking about going to the game on Sunday, so we might go check that out.
another good measuring stick for us early in the year, right? I feel like we've had a lot of those so far.
And like I said, I haven't really been following it too much, but nobody was really talking about the Guardians in the offseason. So I think there's perhaps like a little bit of them like playing above their potential, and baseball will humble you very quickly. And I could just look like an idiot next week and after we get swept, you know what I mean? Like that's baseball. But
I
I'm
mean,
just
they're
kind of
probably looking at it the same way I'm saying it, right? They're probably saying, okay, if we think we're this good, let's go into the Braves home field and let's see what we got, right? So,
I think it's more of a litmus test for them than it is for us. Let's say that.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But just looking at their schedule so far this year, they played the Mariners, the Twins, the White Sox, the Yankees, Red Sox, and the A's.
Because I think that's what put them on the map, right? They won the series against the Yankees. Am I right about that?
Did they? Let's see. No, they got swept by the Yankees.
Okay.
Oh, no, never mind. They played 4 games. 1 got postponed. They lost the series. They won 1 out of 3 to the Yankees.
Okay.
They won 3 out of 4 against the Red Sox. They swept the A's. They won the series against the White Sox. They won, well, one of the games got postponed, but they won 2 of 2. The Twins won the series with the Mariners. So it'll be a good series nonetheless. They opened the season with a 4-game series with the A's and took 3 of 4. So, I mean, they're playing solid baseball, that's for sure. Naylor, their first baseman, has been raking. He's like up there in like the top 5 OPS, like up there with Mookie and Ozuna and all those guys.
Yeah. Have you heard that there's some comedian that does a bit about the Guardians? And obviously with the Guardians is, Cleveland changed their name because of all that controversy. And there's really no point about that, but I just thought it was a funny bit. He talks about he was from Cleveland, this comedian, and I can't remember for the life of me who it is, but he's talking about like, all the names we could have come up with. And we named it after these 2 stone statues on this bridge that my buddy Daryl has 2 DUIs on. So
that's funny. But yeah, so I don't know what their pitching is going to look like. Bieber is out for the season, right?
Right.
Yeah, he had some elbow. Did he get TJ? I don't know. Their bullpen is very good. They rank second in the ERA, first in FIP, and fourth in XFIP. So, yeah, we got to get to their starters. I don't really know who they are, to be honest. Got Carrasco out there who's been solid.
So I think we're gonna see. So we're kind of making some predictions based off of the rotation and stuff. Nobody's like penciled in here yet, but I think we're gonna get the back end of their rotation. So we're gonna dodge Carrasco. We're gonna dodge Curry. Former Yellow Jacket Curry is having a good year in their starting rotation. But
Buzz.
so we'll get the back end of their rotation, which is good. They'll be getting kind of like, as we said though, kind of the back end of our rotation to an extent, right? Like they're gonna dodge Sale, they're gonna dodge Freed, they're gonna dodge our ace Lopez. So yeah, I mean, I think my key for the whole series is like jump on these people early, right? Like let's get some of those first inning, those patented Acuna homers in the first inning. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's jump on them early and score before we get to their bullpen, because their bullpen's nasty. Everybody knows Plaze is just absolute filth, but they're deep too. So
yeah, I know Class A, like he throws gas, he throws like a 102 cutter, but I know he has some control issues sometimes, and we know these guys can be patient at the plate, especially late in games. Like first thing I think about is those at bats versus Alvarado against the Phillies, the first series of the year. Man, they were not swinging if it was not a good pitch, and so that'll be interesting. But yeah, like you said, just get to him early. Like that's the biggest thing I think. With the, I don't want to say their starting pitching is bad, but their bullpen is definitely better. So,
yeah.
Definitely need to get to him early. And like you said, Morton, Vines, and probably Raylo in the series.
Yeah, assuming it's Vines. And I don't know. I mean, you surprised me with this whole Raylo doesn't pitch every 5 days thing. So maybe, hopefully it's Raylo. But maybe it's not. Maybe we'll see Vines and Elder. Who knows?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. How they, and just throughout the season, how they manage Reynaldo's workload, because he hasn't been a starter in 5 years, but he's looked damn good so far.
He looks like one.
Yeah, he sure does, man. He's got really good command on all of his pitches, and he's making people look silly. And he's not really doing anything crazy. It's not like he goes out there and throws 102. Like he throws 95, 96, but he's got a really sharp curveball, really nice slider.
Placement.
Yep.
It's all about location, right? And that Greg Maddux, just real estate.
100%.
Location. So yeah.
We kind of sorry, I was just gonna say we kind of touched on it last week, I think. I wonder if Greg Maddux would do well in today's game of baseball.
Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. It would be super interesting to see though. Like Greg Maddux go up against like Ronald, Mookie, Freddie, like those kind of guys, Be really
Something tells me he probably makes him look silly, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too.
Think so? I could definitely see it, man.
I think he would play into the whole like 3 outcome baseball and just have, I think he'd be one of these guys that's like, in basically the same way he pitched, an exacerbated version of what he was, 20 years ago, where he induces a ton of ground balls, pitches really efficiently, but then every once in a while, I think you'd see somebody tee off on it, right? Because like he just doesn't have the throw it by you speed that players are used to seeing these days. But I think you'd see a lot of balls just getting hammered into the right in front of the home plate, right? Just getting smashed right through the ground.
Righties rolling over on ground balls the short, and lefties rolling over on ground balls the second.
Yeah,
like exactly. That's what the majority of those games would be for sure. It would still be really interesting to see. I would love to see it if he could still pitch. But yeah. You guys have anything that you want to add? Do you want to do predictions for the coming week?
We already said we're sweeping Marlins, so then I'm gonna say 4-2. No, I'm sorry, 5-1.
Yeah,
5-1.
I'm gonna sit in at 5-1 too. I know this is aggressive coming off my 3-3 prediction, so hopefully this is more accurate.
I'm gonna go a little bit conservative. I'm gonna say 4-2.
4-2.
Yeah. I think we probably win the series against the Marlins. They're scrappy, man. I feel like they pull out one win out of the series, and I think the Guardians win one. But we'll see. I just going based on averages on how baseball works. Like it's hard to sweep a series in baseball, just like tonight, right? Like offense is clicking first 2 games, and then last game you kind of can't get the big hit, you know. It happens.
The Braves kind of have I don't know if Snitker does this on purpose or if it's a mindset or whatnot, but I feel like the Braves have a bit of a mentality of if they win the first 2 games, I'm not saying they mail it in or anything, but like they get people rest, and like the Sunday games a lot of times feel like they're trotting the B team out there. Just kind of has when it comes to
that Trumpy. I mean, Trumpy's going to come in every fourth day, right? So I mean, that's scheduled. It's going to happen. I think it just happens to be that it's usually always Sunday.
That, and I think with the bullpen selections maybe is more a commentary. I don't know.
We were also down in the game too. So that's probably why
I'm not
Dylan,
speaking about tonight really as much as I more historical view. Yeah. I don't think they threw in the towel at all tonight. I think Bummer is better than people seem to think. I don't know what the bug hubbub.
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah.
He looked better than he has in his last couple outings.
Bummer is not as bad as people think he is.
He's the further we get away from Philly, he was not good in Philly, and he has been excellent since then, except for the one outing in Houston.
I will die on this hill that he looked great in Philly. He almost got out of that inning twice. The one inning that everybody thinks that he sucks from, they missed that double play by inches, and then Adam Duvall made that diving catch attempt and missed it by like an inch. Both of those plays would have gotten him out of the inning. But anyway, yeah, he had 5 straight scoreless outings, and then in Houston, he had the one bad outing. But it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
they're gonna give up runs. They're gonna have days where they just don't have it. It happens. And also, like, just the mindset of he's not a closer, but like a reliever coming in with, I think we had like a 6-run lead or something like that. And like that mindset, just coming from other pitchers, I've heard just talking about it like on podcasts and stuff, is just a very different mindset. I've never pitched in the big leagues, obviously, but just the mindset of that is way different than coming in like a close game where like, you have to be sharp. You're just kind of like, oh, well, I have some leeway, and then it happens. The baseball gods will humble you real quick.
That's Iggy's thing, isn't it? He's excellent in save situations and like otherwise not so much.
Something like that.
Earlier.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last week. Yeah. But I don't know. Baseball's a weird game, and I think a lot of people aren't built for it. When they say things like the stupid thing I read when we first went live, it's time to trade Olsen or Riley. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. Folks are spoiled rotten, I swear.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the sheer volume of games that we play. 162 games versus like football, for example, where you play 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have a lot more room for, games to not go your way in baseball.
Yep.
Which it's not going to.
I think everybody in Braves country is scared of just repeating the 90s. So I think, and that's just Atlanta sports in general, right? But to my rebuttal, like, you might be living in the golden era of Braves baseball right now. So just enjoy the ride, and then know that it's a long season, and all you got to do is win 2 out of 3 of every series, and you'll set a win record. So just take every win that you get, and don't freak out about any loss.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. But do you want to do any way too early playoff predictions of like who the wild cards are going to be, who's going to win the division?
Ty's been saying all year he doesn't think the Phillies are going to the playoffs, which I think is crazy.
Speculated that. I don't know. They're proving me wrong thus far. I think the Mets will make it.
I think the Mets will make it too.
I think the Mets will be a wild card team. I don't know if that's bold or not, but I think the Mets are going to be there.
Did they get JD Martinez back yet?
I don't know, but I think the Mets will be in the playoffs, and I think you'll see. I think you're likely to see Braves. 3 NL East teams at this rate, right? Like the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. So that could be interesting.
Right now, you've got the Phillies a game above the Cubs, a half game above both the Mets and the Reds, with the Padres and the Pirates a game and a half back from there. Oh man, does that mean the Pirates kind of fell off from that early season start?
Yeah, they're 11-11.
Yeah, they're on a 6-game losing streak. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Oof.
Yikes.
I would like to see the Reds make the playoffs, man. I was hoping for that last year.
Me
so
too.
That's a team I would like to see get in there just because they got all that young talent. They're fun. They've got Ronald Acuna Jr. on their team. That's what I call it.
Junior.
That's what I call Eli, Ronald Acuna Jr.
You talking about Ellie De La Cruz?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's funny.
So I'm gonna say the Reds and the Phillies are my wild card teams.
You get 3. There's 3.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I guess I don't want to see the Cubs go in there because they just annoy me every time. I like seeing Cubs just pissed off.
I want to see the Cubs barely miss it again.
Yeah, again. Yeah, so I guess
Yeah,
it's gonna be the Phillies. It's gonna be the Phillies, the Mets, and the Reds. That's what I'm saying. And because I think that adds strength to seeing the NL East with 3 teams in there is kind of cool. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I could totally see that. The Padres could maybe figure it out a little bit too.
They had every opportunity. Well, they were trying to last year, and what didn't that one pitcher refuse to come out in the game that
Hater.
it was do or die?
No, they were pretty much already out of the playoffs at that point. And he
No,
asked, I think the quote was, "Are we in a playoff race?" And
well, technically they were.
I don't think I'm pretty sure they were already out of it. And I think that's why he did that, because he knew he was about to be a free agent and he didn't want to risk like injury or anything like that. That would
So that was Hater. Was that Hater?
Hater. Yeah.
Yeah, we busted his ass up, so I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. Man, the Astros manager is not going to make it through this season. How the fuck are you going to throw Hater out there and let him get shelled and throw like 30, 40 pitches, give up 5 runs in the first game of the series? Like,
to be fair, he did look back to what people expect out of here. He looked good game 3 when they rolled him out. I think in the 8th, right? Because is that the game we came back and won in extras? Yes, we did.
Yeah, I mean, we got to him twice.
Yeah, he pitched in game 3 again, and he looked good.
except when we scored on him.
No, that was that was game 1 we scored on. We didn't do anything against him in game 3, I believe. I think he came in the 8th.
Oh, okay.
I can go back.
Came in the 8th. That's interesting.
I think so.
I'm curious now. I'm going back to look.
He either came in the 9th when I don't remember when we tied the game up in that game.
Yeah, Hader pitched the 8th with 3 strikeouts, no runs.
He looked good. That's what I remember. And then somebody else came in the 9th, and that's when we tied it up and then won it.
Oh, so they did the bring him in to face like Olsen, Riley, Ozuna, and then Arcia hit it off their second guy in the 9th. Is that what happened?
I believe so.
That's what you get. Take your analytics and shove it. Like, pissed off the baseball gods. You should have left your closer for the 9th, and that's what you get.
Well, if they brought him in the 9th, we would have spanked his ass like we did in game 1 too. So.
That's right. But can you imagine like some pitcher telling Brian Snitker he's not going into the game? Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Brian Snitker would go find some boxing gloves and they'd fight then and there. Like, he would not, like, that guy would not be allowed back on the facility. Like, you're done.
Chris Sale would probably fight him, right?
Like that guy, like, no way. Yeah, like, no, I'm not going in. Like, pack your bags, get the fuck out of here. Don't ever come back. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
You'd think the team could like void payment for something. Like, if you're not willing to pitch, then why are we paying you? Like, go away.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that could get teams out of contracts, but we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure the Dodgers are still playing Trevor Bauer, right?
I'm pretty sure they cut him off, right? Like, and that broke him off. I'm pretty sure they just paid him. Yeah, they didn't get out of the contract. Like, that was they just cut him, meaning they had to pay him.
Yeah.
You know, all.
Aren't the Mets still paying Scherzer and Verlander?
The Mets are still paying everybody in the league.
And Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah.
Wild.
I'll say this though about the Bobby Bonilla thing. It was actually like a really good financial move on their end.
Yeah.
Which is
for the Mets end or for his end?
The Mets.
Oh,
Like just with the way like interest rates and shit work, right? Like they were able to postpone payment a lot, like way down the road. So it's fun to make fun of, like I'll always say, it's fun to like make fun of the Mets, but that's actually like a pretty good move. And the Braves kind of had their own deal, I think, with Bob Horner, had a similar contract. It's just people like to make fun of the Mets and say
Yeah.
Bobby Bonilla Day.
yeah.
It's funny because it's the Mets.
Yeah.
We'll be doing it with Shohei too, I'm sure, in 10 years.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder what that payroll is going to look like in 10 years for the Dodgers. You're going to be paying Shohei, Freddie, and Mookie, and none of which will be still playing for the team.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
80,
sure
90 million a year.
they'll still have plenty of money.
I'm sure they will.
That's the
It'll still be
problem.
funny though.
Taking loans on the future, taking loans out for your kids. Your kids, yeah. So,
I mean, honestly, the money they're probably making on merch on Shohei doesn't matter. So,
all right, guys.
Yeah. You guys have anything else you want to add?
I'm gonna go watch the fish from Vermont, play some crunchy tunes.
All right.
Yeah. So,
All right, guys. Well, 5-1 this week. We're predicting. I predict 4-2. You guys predicted 5-1 for the coming week. So we'll see how it goes. And go Braves.
go Braves.
go